Today it's starting.
It's live.
Hang out. Say hello, everyone.
Hi.
Now, I believe there is a chat area right here and over here. I'm going to, can everybody see the chat? I'm going to go ahead and put hello, chat with us.
Okay.
And that way, anyone that, hello, everyone. And then Lisa, you can stick in a hello. So anyone that comes on can answer questions if they're not on the live over on the right. Do you see that area, Lisa? Do you see on the left hand side of your screen, which would be your left looking
right
at
there.
it?
You got to move your mouse over and it'll show it.
It's a blue, like, oh, I see.
You see the little chat?
Right. Got it.
Okay. So okay. All right. So that way so that way everybody can see that we can chat in. So, let's get started because this is obviously being recorded now. But first of all, yay for us because we figured this out. We're waiting on Michelle. She's trying to log in, having a little difficulty learning how to drive this car, but that's okay because we're learning and Michelle will get on with us or she will end up having to chat on the side. But next time we will. And thanks to the other 3 ladies that were supposed to be on live chat with us. They didn't make it this time. But we're growing. At least we've gotten started so far doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the questions. So anybody that's watching or wants to go ahead and chat with us, you can use the questions that I gave you earlier this week on the book club, and you can go ahead and chime in, and I will read your answers as we're moving along with the book club. So for now, I want the ladies that have joined to just give your name and your favorite type of book that you like to read, and then go ahead and rate our March book, which was, I have it here, The Serial Killer's Daughter. Yay. So Lisa, how about you start us off with, well, obviously I introduced you. Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I kind of like all kinds of books. It just depends on what it is, the nature, but mostly it's Christian authors, Christian books. I love when people tell their stories because you seem to learn a lot from other people. And you want me to rate the book too, right?
Yeah. What was your rating on today's book?
I would say it was an 8.
An 8 for The Serial Killer's Daughter. Yeah. Okay, so she just rated that. Again, I'm just using my Instagram. Sorry, I'm doing
that's okay.
My stories that everyone, we are over on live YouTube, and we are doing a group chat for The Serial Killer's Daughter. So jump over there and join us in the sidebar and chat with us. Okay.
Okay.
And how about you, Kathy?
All right. Hi there. I'm Kathy, and my favorite books are really biographical. I like to read about people and like to learn about people and how they do things. I also do like a couple books from a Christian artist, singer, Michael W. Smith. So I enjoy his book and his music mostly too. What was the other question? Oh, the rating of that book that we just did. I'm going to give it about a 7.
Okay. All righty. Good. Again, Heather Baxter, and God put the desire on me about 2 years ago to start a book club, hence why it's called HB Book Club. It's just a place where Christian readers can come together. And also, I feel I'm more accountable when I have Lisa telling me how she's reading this week, or Kathy, or Michelle, and we're on the book club page. And it just inspires me to get my just quiet time, some quiet space to read. So that's why I'm excited about the book club. And I rated the book a 10.
Oh.
And I did rate it very good because I have a personal relationship with her. And I was able to see her at rock bottom. I was able to see Miss Kerri start her journey with writing this book way before. And I thought that was pretty amazing. And the most amazing thing I will say is I did not know a thing about this the entire time she was in my Bible study.
Oh,
she
wow.
was so quiet on it. Would talk about her dad, but remained quiet. And I think that helped me understand a lot of the way she wrote her book, because she was guarded with it at first in fear of how people would respond. So I'm giving it a 10 because she literally opened up and put her whole life out there.
Wow.
And that to me is huge. And oh, the other question, I like Christian books. I really do. So, but for the sake of our book club, you can tell that toward the end of the year, I have some novels and different things in there. So, okay. I want to kind of venture off a little bit because other readers, don't like everything. But anyway, let's move on to the second question. And again, Kathy, I know that you read parts of the book, so that's okay. We can all be here. And I know you're going to read all of the book for April. I'm putting you right on.
Of course.
Okay.
Put me on blast.
I am going to go ahead and read the second question. What do you think motivated Kerri to write this book? Lisa, you can take off on that.
I think it was a healing. She wanted some healing. And I think that, and also too, I think she wanted people to be aware of her story so that they could understand her side of the story.
I wrote literally the exact thing.
Oh, awesome.
I think she was motivated to heal. Mm-hmm. I think that she had to do it. I think after going through Bible study, it needed to come out. Mm-hmm. And I think her gifts were already writing. Mm-hmm. And therefore, she put all her hurt on paper. And I also believe it was a way, I don't want to say a twist, but a way to reach her dad, who's still in prison.
Exactly.
I still feel, which made me realize, well, we'll get to that in the next question. That one will be hard for you to answer, Kathy. So we're just her and I are gonna jump back and forth. And I don't, gosh,
all right. I'm listening.
I wish she could even jump on it over here, but okay, time will tell. That's okay. And we are still on live, right, Kathy? You're doing the technical stuff.
Yep.
There.
Okay. I'm making sure that it's on the yellow corner. It says live. Yep.
All right. So the next question, Lisa, that I am seeing is, how did the author draw you in and keep you engaged in her story?
I think her words are very descriptive. I mean, you could imagine being in that canyon or imagine where she was at any time of that book. So I think that was like a draw because you didn't want to put it down because you were like so excited to see what the next part of it would be and look like.
Yep. I'm weird. This is funny because I put the Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. I put that down in my notes right here. Her upbringing and her details with her dad. Mm-hmm. Her voice was so specific. And what really got me was on her wedding day. Now, mind you, her dad's involved in all of these serial killer murders. At the time, all of this is going on, like 2 separate lives. And I just thought it was amazing. Like even when to the point where I think it was her glasses broke at her wedding and he had to go get her glasses and take care of her. So she looked beautiful. And all of this while she didn't know. So these details like impacted her.
Yeah.
And she like kept them. It just was, I don't know. It was that was just moving to me. So yes, those were good. And anyone that jumps on later or views this later, please answer some of these questions because this was such a powerful book. I want to
hear the description of her house. Like, I mean, every little room, you could kind of visualize it in her story.
Yes. Didn't she talk about a closet in the hallway?
Yes.
Where the towels were kept in or something, and that is a place where her dad hid something. Is that correct?
Right. Yep.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And in the book, then she found the book with some letters that he was writing.
Yeah.
It was like secret, and he's been sitting there for who knows how long.
The bookshelf, the details about the radio that her dad had.
Mm-hmm.
When all of these things were items that were taken from his victims' homes, and then he would place them right in the midst of the homes. It was just, she didn't miss a detail to bring the whole book together. Like when you read chapter 1 and she was giving you the details about anything, it all came back when she was really getting into her story. So I like the way she laid out the beginning and then wrapped it all up. Right. Number 4, was that it? Are we on 4?
I think we're on 3, but we kind of answered 3.
Yeah. How did you like the author's language or voice?
Yeah. I think we can answer that one too.
Yeah, that's good.
I put that, right, she was easy to understand. So depending on where you're at in your faith, you are going to learn about who God was and how he's your shepherd and how he leads you. because she makes it very easy. The reading was, it could be for anyone. And she was also very bold in the way that she used her verses and her chapters in her if you notice that she had a verse that kind of went along with parts of her life. And I thought that was pretty bold and steadfast and yet confrontational for how she portrayed her dad, but yet put the faith right alongside of it. So I just liked she kept her faith right in the middle all the way.
I think too that it was nice to see someone kind of struggle through with her faith, and then it had to go through a lot of difficult steps to cement her faith in the end.
Right. Because we didn't hear a lot from her mom. I mean, we did, but
right.
It wasn't like she was saying, my mom reminded me, or anybody else in the family reminded me that it's my faith now, or anything like that. That wasn't that voice wasn't. This voice came from, I believe, was it her cousin that died in the accident?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That pushed her toward that faith. And it was like God kept bringing things back to her.
Right.
I just thought that was like, it wasn't like she had an upbringing. She was in the church with her mom and dad, but it was kind of not like, I don't know. That's
she was there. She was there, but Jesus hadn't taken a hold of her heart yet, and nobody around her was really preaching the gospel to her. Right. She was there, but
she was in church every day with her dad and with her mom, but it was
like Jesus was planting little seeds, but they hadn't been fertilized and grown.
Right. And possibly church when she was younger was just out of habit and tradition.
Exactly.
Which really became, I think, confusing for her when all this was happening. I mean, true, because her dad was a deacon or an elder in the church?
Right. He fooled everyone.
I mean, so just to know that God's in all of that. He reveals everything, and he's still there, and she's still there is pretty amazing. Okay, so number 5 says, what is the author's most admirable quality?
I think her faith. Sticking through it, even though she, there were seeds planted, she didn't quite understand the faith, but she just kept pursuing and pursuing and pursuing. In the end, she, like you said, she wants her dad still to believe. She wants everyone to believe, and she knows it's going to be a struggle. Even now that her faith is cemented, it's still a struggle.
It is. I couldn't imagine.
Mm-mm.
And now I think she has the book as an accountability. And then if you look at how many followers she went from, and I just have to put this out there again, because this will be shown live later. Kerri is the most humble, quiet lady I have ever met. She would show up in Bible study every single day, and I swear they were like hiking pants they were like hiking pants and hiking boots. She wore that every single day. And she always carried a backpack on her back when she came into class, and would sit down and was so quiet and so reserved, but yet there was something powerful about her. And I think lives in an apartment in Canton to this day with 2 cats and her husband and her 2 kids. And just as humble as can be. That when this started coming out, I remember on St. Patrick's Day, she laughed at me and sent me a text, because when I wrote my first book, I cleared out, underneath your steps where your basement steps goes, and there's this little room. I cleared everything out, and I made this room for me to go in, because I have a little ADHD. So if I'm around my house, I'm going to move my couch or something, and I'm not going to get my book done. So I went under the thing, and I posted a picture of me under my stairs, and she chimed in on Facebook and said, "Are you a hobbit now under your steps?" And I said, "This is where I'm living." And she goes, "I can't even believe you decorated it under there." I'm like, I had to. And she started writing the book and said, "I understand now why you have to get away from everything to get stuff on paper." So her faith and just her living it out and learning was pretty cool. Okay, number 6. What is one last impression this book leaves you with?
This book personally was a little hard for me, because I had posted that my aunt was murdered. And I guess the thing for me, which I kind of feel shame on me a little bit, is that I've never thought about the mom and the sister and the brothers and the whole, she talked about her whole family and how each person dealt with it differently. And it's made me, the impression it's left on me is I need to pray for my aunt's killer and his family.
Yeah, based off of how she responded to her family.
Yeah.
From trauma.
Yes. Yeah. It's major trauma, and it's interesting to read the other side and how they had a process. I had a different process. She had a totally different process.
Yep. And I put pretty much, okay, so the word prison jumped out to me. And I wrote down in my notes that God is working beyond our personal prisons or our walls, but it's up to us to look for the opportunity in our situation. And that's what I got out of it. There was a couple scenarios even in my personal life, and even some things that happened in my past church that just reminded me of that today. Whether it's sin or trauma or hurt or shame, we can look at it or look at the person or look at the situation. And if we don't put God in the middle of it, then we miss the opportunity for God to work in the prison. And I see her dad is in prison now, but she still separates it and loves him because she sees an end. And I thought that really, the trauma to know that you're, and Kathy, again, I'm just going to update you a little on it because I know you've read parts, but you're here to help us technically.
Yes.
But I think, was it total, Lisa, 10 victims or 11, was it?
It's 10.
10 victims.
And 3 of them were children. 3 were children?
Yep.
3 were children.
And this was done from the time she was a child, and she wasn't notified until the FBI came to her house in Canton in 2000, I believe, in 14. And then she had to put all the pieces together and go, oh gosh, my dad was at a Boy Scout meeting that night. And I remember he stopped home and ate with us and then left again, but then didn't come home late that night. Oh, that's when my neighbor was murdered.
Right.
And
Gosh,
the whole book, she's able to look back and look at all of that. I don't know how I would be able to forgive my dad. I think if there was no faith involved, I wouldn't. I didn't have what God was trying to teach me every day, I wouldn't. She said she's here now. Sidebar. Michelle, can you hear us? And if you can, over to the left is a chat bar. Can you tell us hello on the right-hand side of the group chat? Because right over on the left, you'll see a little thing right up here. Everybody that's on now, you'll see over here. And all you have to do is click it, and it'll bring up a message for us here. So you can interact right here if you're not live with us right now.
that's right. Oh,
I don't know what I just said.
hey, Sherry. Sorry.
I have no idea. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next question. Lisa, do you want to read the next question?
Yes. What feelings did the book evoke for you? Oh, again, personally, it was a very hard book for me to read because it brought out a lot of feelings that I've had since sixth grade about my own aunt dying and how traumatizing it was for my grandparents and my father. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
But again, it's, having to work through that process. And it's interesting because my dad and I have never talked about my aunt to this day and her death. And again, it brought it back to that I need to forgive this person, and God had a reason for all this that happened in my life and in my father's life and my family's life.
So that's powerful because when you're reading another book and it's pulling roots up in your own life, God's using the book then in how many millions of people are watching this. I mean, she went live on I think every talk show that exists, including Dr. Phil and The View. I mean, she's been all over the place. And how many other people have those roots? So for her to put her faith in the middle of it, that's the only way, I think, like same for you, Lisa, that you'll find healing. And that's not easy because I wrote, it brought up a lot of my past shame in things in my life. And again, it's a different look. It's a different prison.
Right.
But how did I learn to forgive myself, and how did other people around me learn to forgive me? And it's the gospel, period. I mean, there's just nothing else you can say. It's just, it's humbling.
It is.
If, and I know this is, I'm going to go a little deep, but then I'm going to pull back in. For those that know my story a little bit, you guys have read my book, you know some of my story, but when I look at her dad as a murderer, I don't look at myself any different for things that I've done in my past. So for me to look and go, oh my gosh, look what he did. And then I look at my book that I wrote and I thought, I carry that same type, but God forgives me just as much as he forgives her dad, but I don't know what state her dad's in. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
I don't know what surrendering state he's in, but I believe that that's her goal in the book, is for that surrendering state to happen. But that brought that feeling up for me, especially now with, I mean, I don't know, just the whole murder thing, that word means something different to me.
Right.
But that was good. So it did something to both of us in our lives. I don't know. Oh, go ahead, hon. I think you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you.
Did we say, did we do the, what did you like or dislike about this book? That question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped that one, I think.
Okay, that was pretty. Is there anything that, was there a like and a dislike? Like real basic or no?
I like the faith part and how she struggled, but in the end, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but it's still, she went through a really traumatic event, but she's still trusting God, and she knows that he's going to get her through this each and every single day. And now she's even put it out there, so again, to help others heal from their situations. So I really like that part.
I agree with that. And then I have the dislike. Do you have a dislike, a big dislike?
Oh.
Or no? If you don't, that's okay.
I do, but let's see what you have to say. See if it's the same.
Okay. I did. Number one is, okay, this book was her book. It was her memoir. So you don't hear much about the brother who was in the Navy, me having a son in the Navy. As a matter of fact, I believe they're in the same location. Her brother, I believe, is in the same location on subs. He goes down for 3 months and up. So my son's looking for him. But I didn't hear much from the brother or the mom toward the end of the book. And then there were no next steps when the book ended. It didn't end with a what's next. It just ended with, I'll think if I should write him again. And I didn't know if she would write it with, here is my hope and prayer for my father. I pray everybody joins me in that, or something. But maybe that's just not the language that needed to be in the book. But I just thought that there was going to be a little bit more of a what's next, or here's the banner I want to claim over my father now. I don't know. It just kind of ended abruptly.
Yeah, I think because her father is mentally ill, I don't know if that will ever happen. And maybe she's just come to terms with that through counseling, that her father may not be what she wants him to be. But I thought that too when it ended, and I definitely thought, what happened to the brother? Where is the brother? What's going on with the brother's feelings? but then I think that she knows that her mom and her brother wanted to stay out of it, so she just kept it about her.
That's a good point. I didn't. And another point was on page 18. Wait, was it 218? Why was I saying 18? Wait, 218. Hang on a second. No. Also, page 18. Why would I say 18? Okay. When she says, I'm getting an echo. I hate echoes. Was it in the beginning? Also, page 118. But claim and look for a new banner. Do not speak that over your life. Wait, maybe it was on the when she talks about being 318. Here it is. She says on page 318 at the very end, I'm a trauma crime and abuse victim I live with anxiety, depression, and PTSD. She says, I'm now able to say that. But one thing I want to say is something that I believe in, just doing my Bible reading and stuff, that we're to speak what's the new creature in Christ that God's trying to make us, the new things over our life. So it hurt me that she claimed that I am a crime, I'm an abuse victim, I have anxiety, I have depression, because we all do. We all suffer. And I know when I went through my worst period of anxiety, and again, nothing compared to this. Her story is different, but I know that I had to get my mind out of it, which is hence my 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Re-speak what's going on in your mind, because if you don't, that anxiety just creeps up and it takes over. And I struggled with that and still do. If I'm in a situation, and even my daughter Olivia will struggle with that. And so I just told her, you're reading this next because she could go see a bleachers at the school and see a ton of people. And all of a sudden her mind's like, don't go up in those bleachers. Everybody's going to be looking at you. They're going to say things about you. And they're going to call you this. And they're going to say this. And her mind just takes off in a million different directions. And she labels herself with all of that. And I'm like, you have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is not what my mind is saying. And that's what this book teaches you to do. And so as I'm reading this book, and I read her last statement, I didn't like that this is who I am. Right. It is who you are. But God also says that you are now a new creature in Christ. And I want to see her. I was a crime victim. That is my story. But God is doing this now. And that story will be the glory to God type of thing. But
and maybe she's trying to keep herself humble, because if she says that, maybe she's trying to, keep herself not sympathetic, but keep herself humble and make sure she's keeping herself in check. She doesn't get overzealous and then think she's okay, and then it keeps popping back out, because that kind of happened to her in the story. It was popping in and out a little bit. She would be fine for a while, and then she'd go to college, and very good point. And then she'd come back to being okay, and then she'd have these nightmares, and then she'd be fine, and then they would, everything came out with her dad, the nightmares came back. So maybe that's just the way of keeping.
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. But then again, even on days that we don't feel good, I just know that I have to take a verse and claim, I am this. I am healed. The blood of Christ has healed my brain. I can get through today. I do not have anxiety. I am not going to have a panic attack. And I had to for a whole season. You remember, Kathy, I literally had to tell myself that I couldn't drive my car. I couldn't go to a grocery store. It was awful. And until I had a mentor say, okay, we're going to treat you for this, but you also need to tell yourself this and get out of your own mind. And I think the enemy knows if he can trap us and spin us. But I think you're right, getting out of that by writing the book. So, I can't wait to hear other people chime in later on this. It's fun, even going through it with you. Doesn't it sound interesting, Kathy?
Yes, I just ordered. You didn't see me, but I was ordering my 5-second rule. Ordered it.
She's double tasking.
Very good. Yep, and I do the highlighting, Deanna. So if you haven't, did you watch my YouTube?
I remember saying that. Yes.
So this really helps, and it's helping.
I don't know when you read. Like I said, I guess if you can find time, perhaps I could too.
You know what? You set your timer for 18 minutes on your phone, or 15, and that's it. You get 3 pages down. Okay. And a lot of times what I do is whatever book we have for the month, sidebar everyone, we'll take the amount of pages that we have. I'll divide it by how many days are in the month. And then I'll try to make sure that when I do my weekly planning, I am putting so many minutes in a day. And sometimes it's only 12 and for 3 pages. And that's how I get it done. How some people got this book done in a day. I'm not a fast
reader. There are people like that,
it took me a couple weeks just because of personal issues. Right. I had to get it down, come back. Like you said, I had to go renew my mind, come back.
Good.
I understand that.
Yes.
Some people read this within a day, and I was like, am I slow at this or what? I'm a slow reader. I'm a very slow reader. So,
well, I think you like to process what they're saying too.
I do. It takes me a long again, having a little bit. I'm not going to claim it because I have a strong mind. But sometimes it takes a long time for me to process a sentence. So I could be on the beach reading and watching somebody walk by, and then I'm watching the bird, and then I'm like, wait, what sentence was I on? And that can happen, sitting in my own kitchen. So it's really bad. All right, next. You want to read the next question, Lisa?
Sure. The book's title and cover. What did you think?
Ooh, I have a good one for this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you notice anything about this?
Mm-hmm.
Did anything jump out? Did you connect a mystery here?
Well, you know what? Honestly, I have mine on Kindle, so I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, look at the book and look at the colors. Do you remember anything in the book?
Okay.
Do you remember anything in the book on her bookshelf?
Oh, I kind of do now that you say that.
So she pulled out a book. Remember when they were packing her house to move? Mm-hmm. She pulled a book out, and it was red and black. I don't know, but when I see her, I want to ask her.
Yeah.
If that's why. I don't know. My brain went right there. And it says, I wish I knew the page in the book. She described the book as being black and red. And when she opened it, out fell a little card, and it was her dad's it was his hit. Planted on a card, hidden in a book, right on their own family's bookcase.
And it was in her bedroom.
Yes. Yes.
That was the freaky part.
Yes, in her book, she remembered being black and red. I don't know why that detail jumped out. So I was like, Kerri, did you make this book black and red? Was that, I don't know. That's just something that jumped out. Otherwise, I do love the way she put her pictures, and she made her dad what she remembers. Right. And I like that. She didn't plot it out as an ugly color in gruesome. She put all the happy memories of her dad on here. And I thought that was courageous and beautiful, absolutely beautiful in such a chaotic story. Yeah. Number 10, what's number 10 say?
Okay. What aspects of the author's story could you relate with?
I think we discussed that. Yeah. We did. Our past shame and your family's story. So that's kind of more of a repeat. How about 11?
How would you respond to Kerri's life circumstances?
How would have you responded? Would have you wrote letters right away? Would have you been quiet right away? Like, do you have an idea of how you would have responded right away? Or would you be visiting him more? Would you? I don't know either.
I don't know. It's so hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And I appreciated what she said in the book, that she wished she would have been there more for him. But I think that she was barely making it day to day in those circumstances. I just don't know. That was a hard one.
I think you helped me understand something in the book chat. You said, and she does absolutely verbally say it at the end of the book. She talks about her dad as in regards to a mental illness. Mm-hmm. And that really helps me because I don't know what type of mental illness this falls under, but we need more studying to do in our psychology world then.
Definitely.
Because on page 237 in the book, he's so good as being a manipulator to other people's feelings that I would have a hard time responding the way she did in the midst of the circumstances. If I got a letter with my dad and he put this in the letter, he goes on as if nothing's happening. I received a letter from grandma. She mentioned your visit, blah, blah, blah. And then he went on, no love. Or do you think it's like lots of relatives' feelings at this time? They have not wished to communicate or even think about me. And then he puts not very Christian-like.
Right. They're like, hello.
He's like, this is the way I treat people. He said, I have many people write me, accept me. They don't condone me. What happened? They accept me, but don't condone me. And I thought, not very Christian-like. And you just murdered. But then again, she turns this whole letter and repositions her father in such a way of, give us time. Do you realize what you did? It's almost like she takes his brain and breaks it down for him because he's not even able to process that. The first thing he does is uses the faith jargon.
Right.
It says you're not Christian-like. And right away, I was on the beach when I read that, and I thought, how dare you?
Yeah.
You're in prison and you're still messing with people, but yet she comes out and says, now, and I don't mean it, if anybody's watching this, that's how I would respond to my dad, if that was my dad, because that's our question. I would be angry at him, like, grow up, you know, but yet she helped me realize that her dad was mentally ill, and I never looked at it as murders or serial killers that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing. And it makes me think that there needs to be more studying in that area.
Yes.
Did you find it interesting that he took her to go see Silence of the Lambs?
Yes, it's creepy.
All those movies
No.
as a child, and then probably went and did the murder after he went and watched the movies with her.
Oh my gosh.
No. I know. And then but I think too, when she knows she's only seen she knew all along her father was mentally ill, but now it's like all the people.
You think she knew all along? I mean, even in the canyon and stuff, he was so good. They would look at the stars together. He cared. See, that's the part I don't think she ever saw that. She saw angry outbursts. She did see that, like when he choked her or when he would get angry. But I think he was so steadfast and good that I feel for her. Like, I feel like that was so confusing. But
again, though, she also, in her book, she writes when they were in the canyon. I mean, he had, you know, like when the brother was lost and then he came across and he's like, just go back to bed. But she knew all along that was her brother. But she knew if she argued with her dad, that was a sign of like mental illness. She knew it would get really bad and destructive if she kept pushing. So in a way, I think she's always dealt with him on a level that she didn't even know was mental illness.
Very good. Very good point. That is so good. That is so true. Because you're right. She did say that a lot through the book. Like, Mom and I just simmer down, like would go outside. Mm-hmm. Mom taught me to walk away. Mom taught me to do this. They learned to tiptoe around him and deal with it. And she learned that. That is not my personality. I will be 100% honest. And that is why God is able to use her so powerfully. I believe it. I believe that I'm learning from her personality.
Yes, I agree.
Very much. I'm learning so much about her that she knows when to be quiet. She knows how to speak, and she knows how to put her words in a letter to, if anybody's going to be a minister to him, it would be her, the way she's doing it. And I don't even think she realizes it, but that's how humble and awesome she really is. But good. That was good. Go ahead. Next question. Can you read it? Do you know what question we're on? We're almost done here.
What jumped out about her faith that struck with you?
That stuck with you forever. The one thing in the book that totally stuck with you.
I just kept going back that she knew God was there. She just didn't have a relationship with him. Like, I mean, she would bring him in and then she would bring him out and she would bring him in. And I think that's kind of like her father, her own personal father. Again, because of the mental illness, she wasn't sure about who God really was. Was he a loving father, or was he, you know, again, was he?
Notice that God, and I put this toward the end somewhere in my notes here, that God knew how to speak to her through nature to remind her of his goodness. And now that I know Kerri, you know, a little bit more and on a personal level, she loves to travel. She loves to look at things. Camping is huge, nature, stars. And yet God
is that way you said.
Right. So I just thought, wow, he knew how to speak to her to make himself real. And then I put for number 12 also that what jumped out to me is as she learned in this process who God was, she learned to love her dad in separated spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So separate the mentally ill and the demon, if we want to say,
Right.
and then who her dad is real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is who she's called to love and remember. And she tells you that in the book. This is, and even on the Dr. Phil show, somebody said, so you love your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets a lot of junk on Twitter and everything, and she deletes it because people mock her of that. And she's like, it's still my father, and I love him. And I think she was able to say, through learning and discerning the spirits and through her faith, not that spirit. That's not my dad. And so I just found that to be the number one thing that jumped out in the book, is how she constantly had to use her faith to divide the two, this one and this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And again, it comes back through like what I was saying, like her life was always kind of on the edge. It was either good or it was like, oh, I'm not sure. Like walking around on eggshells, I guess you would say.
Yes, yes. So she taught me a lot too, that she's just discerning spirits all the time, quietly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Quietly. Number 13, and then we have one more to go. How does revisiting and engaging, and I think you answered this, but let's end on this because this could be good for anyone watching. How does revisiting and engaging with past trauma or difficulty potentially transform its effects, meaning the negative effects? How does revisiting something from your past possibly transform the effects of how it's dealing with you, based on how she taught us?
Go ahead and answer that one.
Okay, I will. I put, what did I put? Oh, okay. Bible study prayers, oh, okay. So she talks about in the book how she needed to go find a counselor. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
The Bible tells us in the multiple of counselors is help in his life. And she knew that she needed that. And I think one of the first counselors asked her to start talking about it, and it was really hard. Do you remember her talking about how she would go someplace and it would trigger a thought, and then all of a sudden the anxiety would start again? But yet the counselor said this is all part of the healing. Mm-hmm. And I think that for anyone that's shoving something deep inside and closing the drawer in their life and not allowing it to be exposed, this book is going to teach you that we need a godly Christian counselor to help us. We need to bring it to the surface and have it covered in Christ's truth. Mm-hmm. And she has a verse for a lot of things. When she was feeling it, she would claim, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Right.
Makes me lay down in green pastures. I mean, she would constantly put a verse over the trauma that she would bring up. So she was learning to kind of deal with it. And I thought it was very interesting because when she was in Bible study, she never, ever mentioned it. Now, when you're in a women's group, hence I've taught women's groups for almost 25 years of my life. And at the end of every Bible study, we do prayer requests. And we either put them on paper and fold them up, and then I'll send them out in a note, or we will go around and anything that's pushing hard, heavy, we bring it to the circle for prayer. And women will bring everything. And it jumped out to me that she said, that day I'm dealing with all of this, and one of the other ladies' struggles was her dishwasher broke.
Right.
So I didn't feel like talking about who my dad was. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the more she was able to talk about her story and the counselor got her to get there, it was easier for her to see, this is who I am. It's okay. And I'm just going to say it. Because one day, and I know the lady that she sat and met with, I love her so much. She was actually helped me write, huge helper, and helping me write the Run book. You'll see her name as the co-author. That's the Rebecca that she talks about in the book. And so you'll see Rebecca's picture in my book. So there's a close little, group of us in such a huge church that I go to. There is a group that cares. And Kerri found her. And let me just use this word. and basically vomited everything out one day. It came out. And I love that it came out because it's okay for it to come out. Whether you're in a small group or in a, one-on-one, it needs to come out. And so when it comes out, you're able to become bolder and bolder. And so that's why I really put that question in for us, because if you're struggling with somebody or anybody out there is struggling with something, and this book has caused a little bit of a shake in you, it's okay, because maybe God wants to expose the roots, and you can't expose the roots by yourself. You need somebody to pull at the roots with you. And don't be embarrassed of your prayer requests. Yeah, God looks at that lady's dishwasher as just as important as, that. So that's what that question meant a lot to me. That's really where I went with that. Anything on your end?
No, I thought that was really good. I like that.
Okay. Was there any specific passage or a chapter that I always end every book chat with this question? Was there one thing of a chapter that you liked the most, a phrase that she said, something that right now when you walk away, it's still in your mind? It's still there.
I just loved how her husband loved her. That was my phrase, because he just sat still with her, constantly there for her. I don't know. That just really I lost my page, and I was trying to find the page where he just sat, and I just love that. He didn't say anything. He just sat with her.
I liked the one too. Now that you triggered the husband, that's a very good point, because I loved when she poured herself that glass of vodka.
Yeah.
After the FBI, I believe, left, and he just looked at her. How's that helping you? I mean, there was almost like they almost had like this sarcastic relationship, but it was funny.
Yeah.
Dry, but funny. But I bet they would just laugh together.
Right.
Like, where's that going to get you? And then she dumped it out and they went to bed.
Yeah.
And they just knew how to pick right back up.
Right.
Like they were definitely a charm together. Like that. I like that too. And I love that they met in a Christian. They met in was it a Bible study?
They met in their church.
Yeah, in their church. Yes.
Yeah, it was like through an aunt or somebody or a friend. Right. I think they were friends. Parents were friends.
It could be unclear. Yeah, not clear on that, on how they met, but I know that it was faith related.
Right. So, it was definitely in the church.
I think that
all the parents went to church together.
Okay. Oh, so I missed that part.
Yeah.
I missed that part. So very good book. Very, very good book. I liked it. I liked it. Kathy, you're going to read it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'm getting that book too.
First of all, yay to us for learning how to do this. For anyone watching, it's easy. Is it not, Lisa and Kathy?
All you do is send an email and say yes to join. It's very simple.
It's very simple. I will start a broadcast for April. I will start a broadcast. Please send me your email. And what I do is I start adding you once the broadcast starts, and you just clip on and you start coming in on the bottom. I can have up to 10 chatters. And what we'll do is we'll do all the rules like in the beginning and how we're going to communicate through the next book. And then I'll go ahead and hit live broadcast and we'll go on live. So for anybody watching this after, we can do this. We've got a whole year yet and we've got a lot of books. So our next book coming up is Fervent.
Yay!
And this was actually, I forgot your name, but there was a lady that was in the book club last year and she suggested it for this year. So I'm excited. It's actually one of the books that I have not read from Priscilla Shirer. So I'm really excited about this book. Now, I do know, Lisa, that you had mentioned, go ahead so everybody else can hear this. I'm getting my hands on the book tonight. So what did you notice so far with the book?
Lots of information. There's strategies, and you might want to use your rules that Heather made to go along with your book, because you will find it's kind of over, like like you said, we have to process it. So divided by so many days. And
for my color thing, you mean the antidote system?
yes.
Yeah, this right here. So getting some of these.
Yes.
And going back and knowing, you know, what your colors are, and you can check that last book we have, and then start marking that. That is very good. Maybe we'll end up having to do the book, that book review, not so much with questions, but going off of this.
Yes.
I think that's a good point. And when I put the thing together and put a post up, I will mention that.
Okay.
And I'm glad you did the digging. So it's one of those, I don't want to say self-help, but yeah, self-help Christian faith book that is going to help us in our marriages, in our personal life, whatever we struggle with internally, externally. I think Priscilla is going to have a lot of what's the word I want to use? Like weapons for us, and we need a weapon to pull out. So this system will help. Is that?
It's all on prayer. It's prayer strategies about how your different relationships.
Very
different strategies of yourself.
Ooh, okay. So I didn't even touch it. The book is actually upstairs. Just picked it up this morning. So it was one that I didn't buy off of Amazon. So I'm actually going to sit down tonight, start putting everything in order, and then we will meet on here the last Thursday of April. I'm not sure if that's hitting us. Does anybody have a calendar? Is that hitting us around Easter by any chance?
No, it's the week after.
Oh, good. Okay. So we'll be on for that. Kathy, are you in?
It'll be 4:25.
Yeah,
I will do my best. Yes.
Actually, it is the week of Easter break for some people.
Okay.
But not many, I think, unless you're in private school.
So it looks like, Kathy, you're going to be reading this book and another book. Way to go.
I thought it was my second rule. That's the one we're reading next.
This book is not even, okay, so let me confuse everyone that's watching. This book is not even on the book club for this year. What I do is if I finish a book early, I have another tableside book. This is my tableside book when I finish early. This is also a book that I only read. You can honestly read 2 pages of this, and it's going to give you a tool or a nugget to use that day. So it's not a book that you just need to read and go, okay, let me take it in. Just read a couple pages, and it's going to tell you, really, it starts off with how she developed the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule is what the book does, and why she used it in her life. And I just want to learn about it. And so I'm just kind of, it's not heavy at all. So it's just one of those books that you can have in your bathroom. You know,
okay.
Read it for a little bit and put it down. Our book club read, that one, I want you to pull all the wisdom and the nuggets that you believe God wants you to personally know. I will come up with some questions. I will come up with the way that we will discuss and chat and review it together. So it's a little bit more bolts and nuts and wires and stuff on the way that we do that. This I don't take serious at all. So Kathy, the most important book that you get is Fervent. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Because you're on this. And then Michelle will be on with us next. And I believe there's a lady that moved to St. Thomas, and she's going to be on with us next. So we have a big group. So anyway, for the sake of time, I'm going to shut down on here. But we had a good group chat. I'm excited.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Lisa.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
There's one heck of a board behind you. I have work to do.
It was so easy.
Love that vision board. We're going to have to do a vision board. Maybe I'll do a YouTube live vision board once I get a bunch of girls that have it done.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Might have to do that in another on another broadcast. But okay, I love you guys, and I'm going to hang up and we can chat later.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.